I'm gonna do all three, so I'm not gonna be calling you back and forth. You can do this here, you can do it at home. We're not gonna do the grommet or the strap on the duffel bag today, but if you do get ahead and you wanna work ahead, you can. We will assemble the pockets after lunch for the duffel bag, and we'll get started on the basic part of it. Okay, so the first one is for the grommet. So you're gonna prepare these two 6-inch squares. You can either overlock the edges or clean finish. I'm gonna do a clean finish on this one. So if you're working at home, you can just do like a, shoot, sorry. These machines are different than mine at the office, so we'll do that. So if you want to clean finish it, just use 1/4 inch around the edges. Leave yourself an opening so we can turn it. And you can, like, you know, maybe clip a little bit if it helps to do that too. The other option is if you fold it in half and you want to overlock the edges. So you don't want to turn in work that has raw edges. Okay? Everything you want to have a clean finish. So if you do that, and what I would do, like for example, if you were doing this like in a faux leather, how do you spell faux?
F-A-U-X.
Thank you. It's not pronounced fox, which a lot of students think that's how you pronounce it. So it's F-A-U-X, and it's a French word for meaning basically fake, you know, not real, imitation. So you can do this, and like you would leave more of this open, and then you could put your elastic belting or whatever else you were gonna, you know, use for the belt area if this was the leather part, whatever the design. So but anyway, you're gonna have two clean pieces, and we're gonna do the grommets. Okay, so I won't do both. That is one preparation. The other preparation is your piece that you're cutting, the 8 by 4 inches. You're gonna fold this under 1/4 on each side, and then press it again, so you have a nice pressed strap. Okay. Now, when you do the strapping, I would recommend using about 1/8 of an inch. Don't go all the way to 1/4, because then you might miss it. You might end up with raw edges coming out. So go maybe 1/8 of an inch. I'm using the feed gun. And then again, because I was at the overlock on my sample, I overlocked these edges, but you can do the same, or you can zigzag it at home. And then the same distance that's here, you do on this side. Okay, and this is the same technique that we will use for making the strap for the duffel bag. Okay. We'll get to that part. Okay, so that's the other sample. And I'm going to take you over to the grommet machine in a minute. I got to get my grommets out. Now on your scrunchie, this one, I was a little short on the fabric, so it's 4.5, but you can go 4.5, 5. You can go, the smallest you would want to go would probably be 2.5 width, depending on what you want. And then you want something that is about 36 inches. I was a little short on fabric, so I'm going to make mine a tiny bit shorter. So what you're going to do here is fold it in half, face to face, just like you're making a strap. So 1/4 inch seam allowance. And have you guys inserted elastic yet?
Yeah, in my personal project, yeah.
I have some safety pins. I'd like you to return them afterwards. I'll let you have them to do it with. And then I'm going to show you, if you haven't used this tool before, how that works. So my last time I taught the class, my granddaughter filmed some of the home videos, the one that you may have watched last week. She filmed, and she wanted frogs, so that's why I have frogs. I told her she didn't want a black toothpick, she wanted frogs. Okay, so this is what you do. You insert this, and there's a hook on the end. You grab your fabric. You keep the tension on the fabric so you can pull. Okay, so if you haven't used this before, it takes a little practice. You probably won't do it that easily the first time if you haven't used it. And then you're going to insert the elastic. So on the scrunchie, I would recommend getting the center of your, where the seam is, and then you're going to insert your elastic piece right on that seam. Just tack it so that it doesn't, so you don't lose it. Can you get that black and white little purse for me, or if you see the safety pins there, I took them out. Thank you. And just stocked up. So you're going to take a safety pin and elastic, and put that on the end and feed it through. You can do it with these, but I don't have as much luck. They tend to slip off, so I'm just going to feed this through. So imagine like this, this is gonna take me 5 minutes to make this, right? Maybe less. Imagine if you were making these in an hour, so you could make, what's 5, 6, you could make a dozen of them in an hour at 5 minutes each, maybe more. If you were charging $8, $10 a piece with remnant fabric, that would be pretty good, right? So, I would love to see some other hair accessories, but this one is required, and then whatever other homework sample you want to do. If you want to do something with a bow or little, whatever you want to do. We had one lady last time that made, she made fabric file folders for her book. Like she sewed like an envelope that went into her notebook. And that was kind of cool. Whatever you want to do to be creative. There's no limitation on that. Okay, then you want to make sure you do that. Then you can put your two edges together. And I would recommend doing this with a French seam. So the first stitch is going to have your wrong sides. Is that right? Wrong sides together, yeah. And you're going to stitch this together. You can use a 1/2 inch seam. And this is going to turn into a French seam. So do that twice so the plastic doesn't come out. Cut it close to your stitching. Then you can bring it to the inside. that seam really tight in there, and then you can sew the seam once more. You have a clean seam. That's it. Okay. So if you want it wider, cut it wider. I had, this is really, and then you can go ahead and cut this.